Now, you've talked about government policy. We have a new president who is trying to encourage private sector development. He was in Otta 2 days ago, commissioning a new plant by Mayor Baker, in which he tried to set the tone for his industrial policy or economic policy, saying it's going to be private sector led, and talked about issues of waivers or non-waivers. And so how has government policy also affected this?
I think over the years, Nigeria, because maybe of incessant changes in either ministers or the economic team, we tend to have had what I call a topsy-turvy of policies. From one minister or one government to another, you tend to have what I call policy somersault. We started during the military era to have what we were calling import substitution. Then immediately, the smaller companies, what you call the little manufacturing, were coming up and were supposed to gyrate to the next level of manufacturing. And all of a sudden, we jettisoned import substitution and started another policy altogether of liberalization.
Allocation.
And then we had import licenses, racketing, and then even the license then was only given to those who are favored or those who could pay the higher price. I remember, at one time or another, one of the managing directors of Unilever, when I was in the banking industry, I used to manage a Unilever account, and they couldn't produce. And I was asking the finance officer, then the chief finance officer, why are they not producing? He said, well, Shuaibu, why should we produce? Because we have to give bribe, and by our culture, we can't give bribe to get import license, so we aren't going to do it. And the same thing, somebody I still respect, and I remember Kolaji Amodu when he was the chief accountant in PZ, and he said the same thing. Sorry, we can't do this because X, Y did. So there were policy somersault over the years that every now and then, organizations, manufacturing concerns, corporate entities, they usually have short-term plans, medium-term plans, long-term plans. Now, within the context of a country called Nigeria, you are not able to plan because as you set your plans, 1 year down the line, before you even begin to implement the plans, somebody comes in and change the policy altogether.
I remember the issue of the vegetable oil.
Yeah.
When most of the companies came here to set up vegetable oil mills, and they banned the importation of quite a lot of things because a lot of industries were doing it. Then under the military administration, I think it was the days of Babangida, that all of a sudden they started giving concessions and waivers to certain people to import
vegetable oil. To what you get in even the smallest countries that you may call banana republics, that some of these things are taken for granted. But in Nigeria, you virtually have to shoulder all these responsibilities. And the moment you are shouldering these responsibilities and government is not protecting you, then you can't be competitive. And as always, the imported items, not necessarily superior than the products produced within Nigeria, but they will be cheaper because the cost of production there is relatively cheaper than the cost of production in Nigeria.